his kids. What the fuck?
That was normal.
That mean it wouldn't be no more gang banging after the first couple of niggas that get shot.
Rock.
Yeah.
Hey, speak on that again. You said when they made South Central and all that shit. Speak on that a little bit more, man. You gotta put me on a whole lot of game, man.
When they was making the movies, I was actually living it. You know what I'm saying? Like through them times. So a nigga was the era that they was making the movies about.
South Central.
Yeah, South Central, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society. You know, we was old dog. Colors, I was a little younger in Colors. I was there. Colors was like that set it off. You know what I'm saying? But Colors didn't really. Colors had a lot of shit off. It was just.
Well, they had fights at the theaters and shit when Colors came out.
What fights at the theaters? A nigga didn't even.
They was hoeing the Bloods up in that Colors movie and shit.
And that's why a nigga didn't make it in no theaters. Because the homies was tearing theaters up everywhere we went around L.A. You couldn't even get in the fucking theater. Anybody that seen Colors.
They had all the real Crips up in there and shit. But for us and shit, they had actors and shit, and niggas that didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
They
didn't know nothing about
it.
T. Rodgers. I'm just saying, but he had a small part up in the movie and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Crips had a big part in the movie and shit.
Yeah, they made it like the real war was between the Crips and the essays, like, and the Bloods was just, you know, in between and some shit. You know
that
what I'm
part,
saying?
Like we were just some secondary shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
They had a lot of motherfuckers pissed off too back then. It had a lot of motherfuckers pissed off.
Rock, let me ask you a question, right?
Yeah.
So I asked a couple of homies that was in the group right now. We was talking about the 90s, right? We know, like, the gang culture, the 90s, it didn't ever be the 90s no more, right?
Right.
So a lot of niggas feeling like, well, it's like 50-50, right? A lot of niggas like, you know what, I ain't with the internet shit. A lot of niggas like, you know what, we got to fight fire with fire. Like you said, we ain't going to criminate no homies. We ain't going to get nobody in jail. But we need some real voices on this motherfucker. We need some real niggas on this motherfucker because it seems like the suckers is like taking over the internet. You know what I'm saying? How you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's here. So you can't do nothing about it. I mean, it's like, you talking about a generations of kids that grew up with everyone had a computer and a laptop versus to where once a week you got to go to the computer class and learn some shit. You feel me? So you talking about the advancement of technology, period. If we would have had cell phones and if we would have had all that back then at our accessibilities like they do now, we would have used them too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's like.
But I don't think as a young nigga, right? I don't think it would have went so far. It'd have been like, nigga, meet me at the park, my nigga. You tripping? You doing too much? Like, I think it'd have been that.
Yeah. No, see, that's the fucked up part about it. See, back then, you didn't have an internet banger because there wasn't a such thing. So everything was meet in the area. If you didn't come to the area, you wasn't official. That was a big thing. So now you got dudes, you know, that internet banger. So they get on here, they have a following, they do all this, and yeah, it'll make a real nigga feel some kind of way. And eventually want to step outside his zone and want to attack him on that motherfucker because that's the only way you can attack a motherfucker. If I had a problem with a homie, whether he was in jail or free, we talk shit on the phone, we was going to meet up eventually. And we was going to get that up out the way. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? But now, like, you got motherfuckers be in a whole different state, somewhere else talking crazy, and we refuse to pull up, but we really have people on their side. You know what I'm saying? It's like. No, it's certain things with gang members I don't understand. Number one, I don't understand the gang member scared to fight. You know what I'm saying? A gang member not supposed to be a victim. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
speak on it.
I just don't understand certain shit nowadays. Like, how did you even get in? You know, it was certain qualities to get in. And look, we not just talking about black gang. Gangs is the same way all around the world. If you walk by a motorcycle club and kick one of their motorcycles, what they gonna tear your ass up. That part. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? A gang culture is a gang culture, so it's like that trips me out. It's like it ain't just blood and crip. It's like a gang culture is a gang culture, period. So that's the number one rule. Shit ain't fair. Don't think you go just beat my homeboy up and I'm standing there. It be shit nowadays where a nigga watch his homie get beat up and be like, "What happened? It was a fair one." You really don't know gang culture, do you? Feel me?
Yeah. Unless it's another Brims. Unless it's another homie.
unless it's another homie. And let me tell you something else. If I ain't that close with him, he better have his homie around. Because we going to fight with my nigga. You feel me? I'm just saying. Like, everything was, we love each other. Nigga, you ain't go, I will go crazy over you putting a scratch on my homie. That's how much we love. You didn't have to get killed. Didn't have to get shot. You get addressed wrong, we going to address it. That was culture. You know, it was serious. You know, and you didn't run into no niggas expecting for nothing not to happen. It was guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? That's why Magic Mountain and them got laws of dress codes and all the parks and everything out here. Because we can't get up wherever we ran across each other out here. That's why gangbanging niggas got access in the rap community now, because a nigga will go to a concert, spend all that money, and run across his enemy and tear that motherfucker up. You feel me?
Right. Hey, Murder. Did you hear that new Game in Kanye?
I did.
The game said something about running to the Crips. It was mandatory, even though he didn't walk them in them chucks like that, right, or to that extent. But it just exactly what you just said right now. Nigga didn't have no expectation that he was gonna get a pass. Nigga, you gonna expect a pass? Where they do that
at? Hey, in Rock.
Yeah.
Are you cool with me streaming this on YouTube or?
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay, for sure.
And you get what I'm saying? You was supposed to play in the fire. You know, I remember if you put down a button-down shirt on too much, or you start dressing like a regular person,
like a square,
the homies will get at you. Like, what you trying to be, a yee? What you trying not to, you know, you had to represent and let a motherfucker know wherever you went, this where I am. And it was a separated coast. So when they seen you, they knew, oh. And you know, the way they looked at Bloods back then, bro, I used to stop traffic, walking to the park, and everybody be looking at me like, that nigga crazy, because that's how they made it, like, with the Bloods. You feel me? Like, in the media and all, like, this nigga got all red on, like, people looking crazy, people stop people. It was like that. And a motherfucker loved every bit of it. I didn't need to be a rapper. I loved that attention when I jump out in that flame and everybody just look at me crazy. I loved it. And if you didn't feel that way, you shouldn't have been part of the culture.
That part.
It's on the set.
That part, nigga.
You understand what I'm saying?
That part, nigga.
You know what I'm saying? When a nigga put that red on, nigga say everybody finna be looking at me today. That was the gang, and I'm finna get into some shit.
Hey, so let me ask you another question, right?
Yeah.
You been a born and raised South Central LA Brim nigga, right?
Right.
How you feel about the Brim, the culture that went worldwide? How you feel about that shit?
Yeah, I feel that's deep. I feel it's deep. You know what I'm saying? Being that, you know, when your family is the beginning structure, you know, the crazy thing about it is they don't even know like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the niggas that started it, and, you know, a lot of niggas that was part of it in the beginning, they love it. And, you know, because this is what people don't understand. Right. What it wasn't, you know, they make the culture so fucking different in the movies, you know? Like a nigga get in the car like, you got something on the petrol, fool? Nigga, why you trying to go to school? You come hang out with the homeboys. Right, and nigga, we know that's the exact opposite. You feel me? Right, it's such a family-orientated setting. It's affectionist. You know what I'm saying? You leave out your house, you know, you got motherfuckers that's, you know, coming to pick you up from school, coming to take you to school, buying you clothes, spending the night, you know, making sure you all right. You feel like ain't nothing ever happened to me. Even though it's shit out here happening, it's like, so what? You know what I'm saying? My team, they love me so much. The love was extremely real to where you got motherfuckers close to 70 years old and will bang Brim faster than you. Will give it up because it was a lifestyle. It was more like, this is what we are. It's not it's considered a gang, but this is family. This is how do you get out of something that you are? You know what I'm saying? How do you decide, you know, this is what, and that's what it was more like. It was like, it wasn't like, I'm looking to be a certain status by the age of this. I'm going to be a G. I'm going to be a double G by this age. It was just like, nah, nigga, this is just our life. So when I wake up in the morning and go to sleep being this, you feel me? It wasn't, it wasn't that much thought to it. Now it's like, it's so much, how should I say, politics behind everything. You feel me?
Right.
You know, everything. And it was like,
being a young nigga, right, being a YG, like, I love the fact that our culture, especially Brim shit, then went global. You know what I'm saying? I'm just mad about when it get twists and turns to some different shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of motherfuckers like get what I'm doing wrong. But you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm your little homie as a Brim, right?
Right.
And I always been LS, like, you know what I'm saying? And I take this shit worldwide, but I never put myself bigger than Brim, never that shit. Any homie in different states, they like, oh, what's up, OG? I correct them. Hold up, I ain't no OG nigga, I'm a YG. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but me, I love the fact that it went global. I just don't like when they twist and turn this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's just, I mean,
let me ask Murder something, LS. Me and you had a conversation, right? Especially what you talking about, the homies that's 68, 69, 70, 71 right now that throw up that Brim like quicker than me and you. I'm 43 and you like 10 years older, right?
Right.
You didn't even catch.
I know. You always clouded with the old shit, nigga. That's why I'm just right.
Hey, but when you was talking about right now, just how real that blood love was, that Brim love, right? That real Damu love. And you said nobody did it better than that generation, that's 69, 68, 70, 71. Because you look at our generation, or when you a little older than me, your generation, and you look and be like, damn, we ain't as tight knit. Every single day call a homie, we still boo. Nigga might holler at nigga once every month or couple, you know, but it ain't how it used to be when you started off and it was real everyday niggas together because we was all we had. Like, today, that generation of G homie is still the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell them about your auntie and what that happened. Let me hear about that. Let the homies hear about that just so at 70 how tight they still is.
Yeah, well with me,
and Rob, you're streaming on YouTube, so you like, keep that
up. Both sides of my family, you know, is from the Brims. You know, my mother's side and my father's side. You get what I'm saying? So I seen it on both ends. I seen it with my aunties. You know what I'm saying? I seen it with my uncles and bro, they never stop fucking with each other. I got aunties that's out of state that would come fly out and visit our home girl and come to the parties, and I don't even see them. You know what I'm saying? If something happened to them, they there, they support each other, you know, jail, and it's just, it shows you the realness of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, it's like, and then also, you know, I scream YG all day, but I'm still conflicted with that because I came in when the big homies really ran the sets. You know what I'm saying? And you wasn't gonna make a move without running it through the big homies. Meaning you couldn't just put no nigga on or nothing. They had to watch it. They had to say, hey, he tough enough, let him in. You know what I'm saying? Or no, he not tough enough, or no, all that. And that's what made the love so strong because it was them who kept it. A young nigga will always fuck something up. A young nigga always fuck something if you allow him to, because they not working with the full intelligence pack. It's all heart and emotions. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if you would have gave us the opportunity back in our younger days to fuck the blood love up, we would have. You know what I'm saying? We would be like, fuck that. Fuck them niggas. Them niggas. You know what I'm saying? Let's go get them niggas. But it was always knowing the consequences of the big homies. Pull up. You know, I remember when you could give a nigga, like, you know, you could actually call a nigga hood on him. Nigga sold you some bunk dope, did some bullshit. You can actually call his hood on him. You can't call a nigga hood on him no more. You know what I'm saying? You call it, and I'm talking about a hood that ain't yours. But that's a blood. Whether he Pyru, anything, you know. I hate when I hear Pyru say I'm a Pyru, not a blood. What?
Fact.
What? You know how much we went through together on that? Don't do that. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a lot changed because, number one, it ain't all the way the little homie's fault, bro. You got to understand, they brought the hammer down on us. It went from, you can do 3 or 4 camp programs, then end up going to youth authority, then end up going to prison, to where they shoot you straight to prison. And I'm part of that generation. I got tried as a dope for bank robbery at 16. At 18, I was sitting on my couch with my grandmother watching my big homie Kurt Dog in 1988 on America Most Wanted for killing a police officer. I never imagined by 1995 I'd be walking the prison yard with him. You understand what I'm saying? So in between, that's how much it's enough. So when they came with that, they came with the when they start doing that, bro, that changed the dynamics of the game. Now you took a strong generation away. Or our generation was short lived. You talking about the late 80s to the early 90s. By the time it hit the mid, nigga, they shook shit up so much to where it changed. But that, they were scared of that generation, rightfully so. We did have too much heart. You know what I'm saying? We going to school. Everything system that they created was because they started bringing metal detectors to school because we going to school with guns. We get cracking everywhere. We start running up in banks. We start doing everything. They say, bring the hammer down on these young niggas. And boom, when they did that, it crippled the next generations to come because they don't got no one to train them. And as soon as you get a down nigga that do something, he gone. You don't see him for a long time.
And the laws changed, right? The cameras came.
That's what I'm talking about.
So
that's what I'm talking about.
They came home. Now it was camera phones. Now it was, everybody got ring bells. So the G homies like, I didn't did a dub. I ain't about to go back and do another dub. Like y'all can have this shit. And it was,
hell fuck.
And young niggas like figure this shit out.
No, it's like they do, but I'm just saying, yeah, back then they snatch, man. So it's like, boy, they start to where the fact to where we actually helped the big homies come home. And we didn't try to, but they stockpiled us so much to where the feds had to step in and say, y'all got to let some niggas go. So that let niggas go who they didn't intend on letting go. When they said life in California, they really
that's how Kurt Dog got out, huh?
No, Kurt's still in there. They don't want to let him go because it's more political. He killed the police. You feel me?
Yeah, so that shit, I remember as a little kid. That shit was
but the other big homies, they let home. They let them home. They home. All the niggas used to hear about the killers, most of them home. You feel me? From everywhere. So because they had to. They had to.
Yeah, but I remember.
I don't know. I don't think they know what you're talking about when you say Kirk, man. Tell them a little bit about Kirk.
Yeah, it's Kurt Dog, OG Kurt Dog, man. He went to jail in '88 for killing the police. He was like on the 3rd episode on America Most Wanted when the season first came, when it first came out, when the show America Most Wanted came out.
Is that the one?
Straight out the Brims.
Is that the one? Tyron Turner, the nigga that played Kane, was playing this shit at first. Is that the episode?
I don't know who played him. Then you had the other. Then right following that, you had the homie G Mike and Trigger on there. So I ain't gonna lie. Like, you got to think. Now, you got social media and so many people be glad. Remember when they used to have the news cameras just pull up? That's how a nigga get his face on TV. Niggas be in the background happy to be on the news, right? So when your hood can post some shit on the news, that was like the social media them days. So when the Brims got posted on America Most Wanted 2 times, it went up. That made other gangs jealous of the Brims, the enemy. Them niggas think they popping. I tell you, hey, we went to real war.
What about Sonny? Wouldn't Sonny make it 3?
Well, no, Son. Look, I don't know. Sonny had a high profile case, but I don't know if he do the America Most Wanted. I don't think that.
Yeah, he said, I don't know America Most Wanted, but I know on the news that nigga said, man, I don't give a fuck, man.
Yeah.
Cream made me to bury my ashes at Harvard Park. Nigga.
Man, that nigga went crazy, man. So they looking at me.
One time, we was at Harvard Park. We was chilling, right? This is years back. I remember when Sonny got found guilty. The police had pulled up to Harvard Park and told like, yo, yeah, we went over there. He got found guilty and shit. They was telling us the story and shit. Mind you, that shit we was young and we kind of heard about it, but we was like, damn, that shit was big. Like they just had left the nigga court day and pulled up to Harvard Park and was telling us about this shit.
Hey, when the G homies like Psych Mike, right, Lil Catnip, when I remember I was a kid and he was telling me how they was for his first body he did 7 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, they would have that was like the average time they give you. 7 years was like a life sentence.
But they would give you a deal. They would give you a deal for murder back then. And then
they didn't have 85%. They didn't have because
they didn't have none of that.
Law came up to what 94, 95?
94. And then you got to where they didn't have to try. They got basically they had took the trial of the trial of the Doe away after they dismembered the Black Panthers. You feel me? So after they dismembered the Black Panthers, that was a long range you had of a young nigga being able to kill without hitting the prison system. The worst we used to feel like we had to worry about was being in jail till we was 25 years old. That was the worst. So that made the generation a bit more deadlier. You feel me? Because it was like, we don't get real life. So when they
we going to YA, I'll be out when I'm 25.
Yeah, so when they trial you as a dope, when they brought the trial as a dope, that switched the game up right there. And now it's like, now you can get life too now. You feel me? But prior to that, you had take for instance, you can snatch a nigga out of a car, drive it, do whatever. You don't get caught with a gun or anything like that. It was joyride. Versus to carjacking 15 years with 80-something. They really came down on the difference with the time. Like I say, niggas used to do 3 or 4 count programs. Some did up to 5 count programs.
No, I did 3 count programs and then went to YA.
Then they hit you 40 and then prison. So, they start shooting you straight up, skipping all that. So that changed a lot. And that, that type of time, that type of shit, it brought a lot of snitching and shit into the game. It changed. It started being, it started being real different. You feel me? And but the 90s was it was different elements. It wasn't just the fact that, you got to think, you was still spinning off tough times. You was raised by people from tough times. You was raised by, grandparents and parents that had parts of slavery, came down. So you was raised by hardened people. So it made you harder. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Like the average people wasn't even from California. Like my family was from Mississippi. My uncles and shit was hard to deal with, being country boys and shit from the hands and all that. You know what I'm saying? And it was just strength was more. It was more pushed into you from a kid. Like, you got a female cousin that's older or something. You got your hands on your hip. Get your hands off your hip. Your girl cousin go sock you in the chest. Being masculine, being tough was the name of the game. Girls like the buff dudes when they go out of jail. Girls don't even like buff dudes no more. They like the skinny nigga that look like he off heroin with, you know what I'm saying? Talking about nigga, I ain't do. The females feel like they tougher than the niggas nowadays. I ain't tripping. I'll fight you for my nigga. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? But it was a different time. So being tough and being strong and being competitive. Even we was in the streets, we fought over. We wanted to win in everything. Marbles, everything we did, we wanted to win in because that's how we was raised. That's how we was taught to win and be strong. That shit is just ain't around like that no more. You tell a motherfucker you want to play basketball, let's go get on the game. You sock a little nigga in his chest, he start crying. You ain't used to no physical contact. It's just different. You know what I'm saying? So it shows in the gang culture. You know what I'm saying? It was like, elementary school. When I went to elementary schools in LA was like youth authority. You know what I'm saying? You go to school, nigga, you better have some friends or some siblings or, you know what I'm saying? Or, nigga, you can be real live bullied and punked all year. You feel me? It was like, you had to fight. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, the schools let out. The streets was black. All the schools was black. You know what I'm saying? Nigga telling you that I'll bring my brothers up here. It was just a tough life there.
I had a lot of girlfriends in junior high and shit that I wanted to date them, but I was like, nah, your brother's somebody from over there. Like, I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? It was different, man. Junior high school was operated like high school back then. Niggas was full gang banging, coming up there, homies dropping the nigga off. Some homies came and hung out with a nigga inside the junior high schools. You feel me? That was out of school. That shit was different. You know what I'm saying? It was just real different. So, just the time zone period, I believe, man. I just believe, period, I don't think it's just in gang banging. I believe that just blacks on a large scale period have got weakened. And that's my opinion, just on the raising and everything. I believe part of the raising, part of the coach, you got talk consequences before you left your household. The average nigga in LA, ass kickers was everything. We don't know nothing about abuse. We don't know nothing about a hotline number to call on our parents. You know what I'm saying? Our parents, we scared of our parents more than the police. You know what I'm saying? So we was just, you was tough. And you came into it. It's just not like that no more. Period. Just on the scale. Period. You don't see.
You know what? You make a great point. And I was speaking to the homies on this shit. I was saying they be saying oh, it's cool for a civilian to tell, right? But I remember growing up with granny and mama and shit, like little kid shit, right? We can't eat at a certain time, right? We just stuck in the cookie jar, right? They're like, oh, cousin took the cookies. He was getting his ass whooped, and I was getting my ass whooped too because I told my cousin for taking the cookies.
Because I told him, and so you understood. So by the time you entered the gang life, you understood discipline.
Right.
That part.
You know what I'm saying? So when the homie said
shit, I don't get that shit because my granny never gang banged, but if I told on one of my cousins or my brother something, she would whoop my ass too. Like all that shit.
Well, they gave you a code. Like, be careful who you hang with.
Because he did that.
What they into, you into. Yeah, because they taught you, y'all together. You know what I'm saying? I know, because the message in that is, I know you done stole the cookie too before, nigga. So don't you be over here snitching like no bitch. You know what I'm saying? It was the moral care. Kids, we used to try to stay out their face because we knew it was going to be a cold, nigga. We tried to, and it was like, yeah. And it's like, so you did around. And what was crazy about it, the respect level was so crazy. Look, I remember a homie, I ain't gonna say no names, right? But this happened in the VNs, and a homie was in jail, and his nephew is staying with his mama, which is his nephew grandmother, right? And he called his grandmama a bitch, right? So he called from prison like, man, to the homie, the big homie, hey man, go holler at my nephew before I kill that motherfucker when I get out for calling my mama a bitch. Now let me tell you what fucked me up. When we going to go get at him, I'm thinking he finna lie through his motherfucking teeth. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? I couldn't imagine calling my grandma no bitch. You know what I'm saying? That's like a death sentence in my family. Nigga, so when we get to him, we say, hey man, check this out. You called your grandma a bitch. That nigga say, man, that bitch called the police on me. So it's funny though, right? This big grandma just tripped me out. Like, what? Did this nigga just say that he just admit? You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew we was way far gone, bro. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's funny to explain that how strong gang culture was, but how yet the respect level of the neighborhood and the elders and everything was intact. You know what I'm saying? Like, your mama can come tell the homies on you. You know what I'm saying? Your mama can come push up and let the homies know you doing some bullshit. You fuck around and get fucked up for that shit. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's a whole lot of elements to this shit that can't no movie or nothing catch. That can't no movie or nothing catch. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? School, I couldn't go to Harvard Park between school hours. Fuck the truancy police. Don't run into no homie if you ditching. They're going to beat the shit out your little ass. You feel me? So what that did represent is, hey man, you still got a chance at a future. Just because you part of his life don't mean you can't have no future, or you can't, you know what I'm saying? You still need a degree of intelligence and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So, and don't get me wrong, it's bad apples in every organization. You know what I'm saying? So you can't judge it off the bad apples, but in my experience, you know what I'm saying, it's a lot of, I met some of the most beautiful people in this gang life, because in my experience, unless you in the army, unless you a police officer or firefighter, what fucking average day civilian is really ready to put their life on the line for somebody else?
Fact.
Outside of their own flesh and blood. But a gang member. We understand sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? We understand putting it on the line for somebody. You know what I'm saying? So when that call need to be made to come help me, we always be the ones getting the call, because we the ones that's willing to put it on the line for somebody else bullshit. So why niggas always talking about the gang culture, put that in your head though. Guaranteed, if a real member walking through the mall